In this lesson, we are going to compare and order integers. So let's remind ourselves what integers are. Integers are negative and positive whole numbers. So I like to make my list. We have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and ... in both directions. And we put our braces around it because it is a list. Okay? Now we have symbols that we're going to use to compare. And these symbols are greater than, less than, and equal to. Okay? Greater than, less than, or equal to. Let's just remember one thing. On our number line, if I was comparing the numbers 2 and the numbers 3, we know that 3 is bigger, okay? But what happens when we're talking about negative numbers now? If we're looking at -2 and -3 on a number line, we have -1, -2, -3. I'm going to put a little point on each one, -3 and -2. In the negatives, 2 is bigger because it is closer to 0. It's closer to the positives over here, okay? So if we like to think of these as positive, we can flip the sign for the negative. So 3 is bigger in the positives, so the -3 is smaller in the negatives, okay? So keep that in mind when we're doing these questions. So example 1, we have +5 and -3. Well, we know positives are always bigger, so 5 is greater than -3. But what happens when we are comparing -5 with -3? If we want to remember our number line, we have 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So here's -5 and here is -3. So in the negatives, -3 is bigger than -5. In the positives, 5 is bigger. Okay? Now let's go down to ordering numbers. When we are ordering numbers, the directions are going to say to order from either least to greatest. It might say greatest to least. Okay? So if we are going from least to greatest, our negative numbers are always the smallest. So we're always going to look at all of our negatives, and then 0, and then our positives. If we're going from greatest to least, we're going to do all of our positives, the biggest one first, then 0, and then our negatives. This helps us just kind of organize our information before we start to order them. Okay? So let's look at example 6. Example 6, we have to order from least to greatest. So we know our negatives are going to come first. So I'm going to put a box around our negatives. Okay? Now, which one is the smallest? Which one is the biggest negative? And that answer is -50. So -50 is going to come first. And I like to cross them out as I go. And we only have one other negative, so -25 must come next, okay? Then we're in our positives. We want the smallest one, so we have 75, and I'm going to cross it out. And then our biggest number here, which is 100. And this is from least to greatest.